I can go to my wife and say, hey,
Mhm.
let's take this test to find out what our languages of appreciation are, or our love languages, our personality tests. We've done a lot of that so we
Yeah.
can coexist fairly pleasantly. In the work environment, you're not really going to go up to your coworker and say, hey, I want you to take this test so I know how to respond to you.
Right.
How do you
Yeah.
as an individual figure out people's language of appreciation?
Well, like anything, it's often a process, and it depends on your relationship and also your role. But lots of times, and we've worked with people who had just a regular desk job, or they were the receptionist, whatever. They weren't supervising. They read the book, they took it, they found it interesting. They maybe had the book sort of sitting on their desk, or we send out a weekly email about with a little article. We have videos, and it's sort of like, hey, I read this book, thought it was sort of interesting, and I thought it'd be sort of interesting to find out how our team like to be shown appreciation. That everybody likes it differently. And it's low cost. I mean, it's $15, per person, and so um, you talk to your supervisor or the HR person and have them go to our website. I mean, we've had over 230,000 people take it worldwide, and it's in like 8 languages. And from daycares and preschools to hospitals to public schools to manufacturing firms, government agencies, everywhere. And because people like to it's sort of interesting. They like to find out about it, as long as it's a mutual thing. It's not like, hey, here, read this, and here's my report on how to show me appreciation. You know, uh, give me a gift. Kind of thing. So, it takes a little bit of time, but it's an easy read. The book takes maybe and it do chapters, so it's not too hard to introduce it to people. Sometimes it takes a little time, but it works over time.
There's a lot of different personality traits out there. And ironically, I do have this conversation with people more often when they are talking to me about their current work environment and a particular person or manager or something or someone that they don't like. And all they do is allow themselves to be walked on,
Mhm.
and they take it, and then they just grow in bitterness, anger, and resentment.
Sure.
And one reason why, I got let go so many times is because I decided I wasn't going to get bitter, angry, hurt, or resent. So I was going to stand up for myself.
Mhm.
Where's the balance between the two? How do you balance communicating, hey, I don't appreciate this, or hey, please communicate to me this way
Yeah.
in a respectful way? And I mean, obviously it does, the expectation or the way the other person responds will depend on how it goes. But
Sure.
how do I do that
Well, it's
in a
going to
well?
differ for different people, but I come from a worldview where I believe God created each one of us, and as a result, each of us has value. And one of our core messages is that people have value, employees have value beyond performance. I mean, employee recognition programs focus on performance, and we demonstrate and show how employee recognition programs really don't work in helping people feel appreciated, because it's not individual, it's not personalized, it's not about them, it's performance based. Um, but it starts there with understanding that each person, you know, has value, even though they're different, and even though they torque me off and I don't really like them. And so, to me, it sort of harkens back to trying to be kind and considerate, gentle, maybe speaking the truth in love, not just, sort of glossing over stuff, but doing it in a way that's helpful to them. And um, and I think that's sort of the key, right? I mean, what's the motivation? Is it that I'm trying to be helpful to them or help build a healthy relationship, or I just want to let them know what a jerk they are sometimes? I mean, that kind of message isn't going to go well no matter how you package it typically. And so I think the balance is sort of where you're coming at, what your goal is, um, and understanding again that they may or may not change. I mean, you can give them feedback, and trying to respond with patience. But the flip side, and see, I'm a little different than most. I mean, I'm fairly proactive and don't let people walk over me, and maybe sometimes too much, so I'm too blunt. But I don't think it's helpful. Lots of times, people that are a little bit more passive in relationships that's based out of fear, fear of either being rejected or being fired or whatever, and so they have to deal with that anxiety, fear side of things. Well, so I think it is that we give people reality based. And let me give you an example that I think will help. Is the more, and this is true whether you're giving a positive kind of message or maybe some corrective criticism, the more specific you can be, the better. Versus, I mean, the worst kind of message is, I think you just act like a jerk, right? Or the worst is you are a jerk, but then you act like a jerk, and then, so you got an anger problem, and then, but you can say, it sort of offended me the other day when in front of the rest of the team, you called me out on something which I needed to be called out on, but doing it in front of people really intensely was, some of the words you used, that didn't work for me. And I'm wondering if we can talk about doing that differently. So the more specific you can be, I think the better it's going to go. If you just give generalizations, people don't know what to do with it.